school function right now. Ms. Buck?
Here.
Ms. Brooks?
Here.
All right, we also have with us Ms. Barrett as clerk treasurer, Mr. Helson as town attorney. Minutes of council meeting July 8th, 2024, executive meeting July 13th, 2024, and executive meeting July 17th, 2024.
Right, and I'll have to abstain from the 8th, I was out, so Debbie.
There are no questions. I'll make a motion to approve the town council meeting minutes of July 8th.
Second.
All in favor?
And also I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the July 13th meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. And I make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 17th meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
All right, thank you. All right, claims, Rhonda?
Right, in your packet, there was a docket, and the amount changed a little bit. There was one claim added and one removed. So the amount is $1,070,000, $545.79.
Any questions, council?
No. Make a motion to approve the claims.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Johnson County Board of Commissioners Resolution 2024-R-0, Mr. Huddleston.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this was added, and we're going to have the county attorney on to give more detail on this. But if you recall, there was a settlement with drug makers throughout the state of Indiana and municipalities that allocated monies to us as far as a settlement agreement. And some of those funds are unrestricted. Some of those funds are restricted. If you remember, past town manager Kevin Dennis presented to figures and what is projected for over the years. So with the restricted funding, basically what that is required to do is create a drug program to help alleviate issues with drug problems, basically. And what the county has done, Johnson County, has approached all the municipalities and said, hey, for the restricted funds that come to the county anyways because they're a lower amount, we will create a countywide program and do an interlocal agreement where Edinburgh would have a position on the board and we could create a countywide drug program that pools all those monies together from every municipality. So far, all have either signed up for it or said they will, except for Greenwood. Greenwood's going to do their own thing. So Franklin and all the other municipalities, Franklin's already approved and passed the resolutions to join. This is a resolution from the commissioners would approve, so we do not consider this, but we have a similar resolution after they approve this that says we're committing, and it spells out there's approximately $13,000 and being a part of the drug program. So that's it in a nutshell, but I wanted to have Adam Gadrick, who's the county attorney, connected and be able to answer any specific questions. So we don't have to take action on this because the commissioners would, but since there's been a period of time and Mr. Dennis is no longer the town manager, I wanted to get with you guys to make sure this is something you want to do, because if they pass this, we'll have a resolution after that here that will pass ourselves. So mainly I didn't want to put the cart before the horse. Make sure you guys are comfortable with this, with the information, and have any questions, Mr. Hanbury. That one was on the phone. He could not be here in person, but we're gonna try to do Zoom or telephone.
That's not working, so I'm just going to put you on speakerphone, okay? Sorry about that. Okay, go ahead, Adam.
Hi, good evening. Sorry for the technical difficulties on my end. I'm Adam Gadrick, the Johnson County Attorney. I'm not quite sure what Dustin has relayed to the body, so if there's any questions on the opioid grant program and our local resolution, I'm more than happy to answer any questions, concerns. I need to start from the very beginning. I'm happy to do that as well.
Adam, I don't believe that's necessary. I think Dustin's been done a pretty good job of filling us in and kind of plugging the blanks with the answers we were looking for. I don't really know that council has any questions for you.
I actually sat in on a webinar with the town clerk treasurer, Mrs. Barrett, and they went over pretty much verbatim everything that Dustin just went over. So I don't because of that.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Yeah, there's no questions from anybody here.
Okay, excellent. I know that the county's very excited to get this grant program going. I think it would be a boon for the county from a kind of a collaborative standpoint. I think the county's very lucky to have leadership, both the city and county levels that are willing to work together to address all issues, and specifically the opioid epidemic specifically here.
All right, well, thank you for your time, Adam.
All right, thank you very much.
So, council, once they approve this at the commissioner's level, they'll notify me, we'll have a similar agreement, resolution presented to you for your consideration.
Thank you, Dustin.
Well, since you're on the roll, ordinance 2024-12, rezoning certain property, second reading, Mr. Hudson.
Thank you. This was introduced at the last council meeting. It takes the property that is described in Exhibit A, and we're amending it from the zoning map to rezone it from R5 medium density residential to RV roadside business, with the one subject condition that the subject property coordinates with Indiana Department of Transportation to obtain an access permit to US 31. This was unanimously approved for a recommendation, for a favorable recommendation of the Edinburgh Planning Commission.
Any questions on ordinance 2024-12?
Since Mrs. Sweet isn't here tonight, Dustin, just all four of us, does this have to be unanimous?
It is not, it can be 3-1.
Okay.
And the petitioner's here if you have any questions. I don't want to put you on the spot, sir.
Any questions?
I have no questions.
We want planning commission to see
Oh, that's right, you guys.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have anything?
Where's the second?
This is
31?
Yeah, this is the lot next to,
it. Do you remember the Fletcher's property there on 31 north of the Dollar General? Then there's like a trucking company.
Yeah, it is,
So
yeah.
you can correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but it's the property
Yeah.
to the north of that.
Right there.
Yeah, open the truck.
Northeast.
It's for sale.
Yeah, but it's right this side.
Okay. It's north of it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Staff recommended approval of this with the condition in the planning commission notes.
There's no other discussion. I make a motion to approve the ordinance 2024-12 rezoning of the certain property as stated on the agenda.
Second.
all in favor? Okay. Dustin, ordinance 2024-13, amending chapter 93, garbage and trash.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you recall, this was introduced at the last council meeting, and there was some minor changes that staff is still going to make on this. I reviewed those changes and approved them. They're really grammatical. The document in front of you should highlight those, and it's ready for your review. Unless Julie has anything to add.
Nothing further.
We have this ordinance in place. This updates some language that Robert and Julie suggested to better enforce
You have any questions?
I don't.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2024-17, sewer hydro excavator lease. Mr. Dustin.
Thank you. If you recall, Mr. President and council members, this was presented to you about the hydro excavator that the water department was needed. It shows and reflects a purchase price, and this is the resolution that our reflects this. We're getting it from Brown Equipment Company per Sourcewell Cooperative Purchase Agreement. Remember, we got a discount of about $17,000, so we're circumventing the normal bid process. Mr. Jones had presented in the past about this, so I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, it's just the lease agreement, so we can, when it comes in, we'll be able to turn check over.
Also designates and appoints me to execute all the signatures and documents for them.
Correct. If you remember, the reason why we can circumvent the process, because Sourcewell, which we're part of, gives a discount to government entities, so we're saving about at least $17,000 by going through Sourcewell. If we went up one.
So it would just be one motion
Well,
for signatures and
Just approving a resolution.
make a motion.
And then, you're right, in there, it already gives
It already
Ron
gives
authority to
Ron.
sign, so you have to make a second.
So I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-17.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Request for proposal to lease real property, Mr. Hunt.
Okay, if you recall, this is the old fire station. We had advertised in the past to lease the entire building and got no takers. So this time we've modified the advertisement to lease all or partial of the building. And we got one proposal from Mr. Pierfield, not as council president, but as a civilian. And if you remember, before we started this process, we disclosed that conflict of interest. Like we have to with the State Board of Accounts, that was all approved by the council to proceed on this. So he has submitted the bid. I think all you've got in there. So this is our only bid. You have a right to accept it or reject it. There's no obligation to it. So I don't know if you want to speak to any of it.
As I alluded to, it's storage. It's to get stuff out of the weather, and there's not going to be anything outside. It's just a securement of equipment, material. That's it. There's not anything else going on there. My company, my organization runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week like a firehouse, on water leaks all over Johnson County and growing. So it's suitable for what we need to keep things out of the weather, but that's really just about it, is storage for us.
And you would just have half the building?
No, I offered for the entire
Just
building,
the whole
Yeah.
building, okay.
Yeah. because there's really no good way to split that building, and then there was an issue with insurance, only wanting to insure
Okay,
half of the
okay.
building, and they just weren't receptive of that. And the town requires a certain limit of insurance, and they didn't feel comfortable insuring half of the building, because then they weren't responsible for the other half in case something did happen.
Plus, we're gonna have somebody there, pretty much like you said, 24/7 to maintain it.
Yeah,
I think it's got some windows out and things of that nature that it's just not being taken care of, so it looks like, to me, it'd be a good choice to get it at least taken care of. So, I personally don't have a problem with it. You have any questions, Mr. Cronin?
So if you approve, then I would draft up a lease agreement that would encompass their proposal with terms with the town about liability and outline insurance, also the rents paid and all that. It can be approved at the next meeting.
Make a motion to approve the request for proposal to lease the real property known as 203 South Walnut Street here in Edinburgh, Indiana by Piercefield Construction. I'm sorry, contractor.
And this is, since Mr. Piercefield has abstained, you have to make this one unanimous. Since we're going through.
second,
All those in favor say aye.
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 I have recused from it, so, all right, thank you, guys. All right, inside pipe contracting, State Road, inside pipe contracting, State Road 252 sewer lining and repair agreement. Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. This is the construction agreement I prepared. This was in the bid package. Is Kate here? Yeah. If you remember, you awarded the bid to Insight at the last council meeting, so we prepared this. There's some information I wanted her to confirm and also fill in some blanks, and she got that to me today. So you can approve this agreement to authorize Ryan, approve the agreement, and then also authorize Ryan to sign. We'll send it to the contractor. If they, for some reason, have any changes, we'd have to come back But again, as Kate can attest, it was in the bid package pretty much like this with some blanks. So I'd be surprised if that happens, but
Correct.
we'll see.
So how do you want to handle it?
I'd say we approve the agreement and then approve me to sign it, and then if they have to come back and we have to make any revisions, then we'll just give it to us and make the revisions and then change it again, and so
You
there's
guys
another
hear that?
approval.
You okay
Good
with
with that,
that?
Mike?
Again, this is based on repairing, realigning the sewers along 252. Bob's been part of this process as well, so this is gonna be reflected in a upgrade 252. So it's gonna upgrade all of our utilities next year. Bob, you wanna add anything?
Oh, not at all. It's just saving on future problems after the road's completed.
And I think this is the one that was originally had a couple of bids, it just weren't either adequately filled out or they were. Yeah,
Missing things, this bid came under the projected cost.
So you didn't approve it.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the Insight Pipe Contracting State Road 252 sewer lining and repair agreement to be approved by, or looked at by Mr. Hudson.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Second motion authorized Ryan to sign.
Motion for Council President Pearsville to sign off on said previous agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Julie, MA metal tax abatement request is the gentleman here from MA, I believe you're
It
right there.
certainly
if I
is,
heard.
yep.
Yeah.
So Mr. Dryer is here again tonight to speak on their tax abatement request. They're requesting a 10-year real property and 10-year personal property request. So I'll let him
Since we
speak.
spoke last time, everything still look like it's on track to?
Yeah, I'm really just here if you had further questions.
No.
Don't necessarily want to take up your time
No,
again.
that's fine. Again, council, I think it was investing back in our community, and I think they're investing back in our community, so we can make that least we can do to keep them here, so.
Is this just one motion, Dustin, to approve both the real estate and the personal property? What is that?
You make a motion to authorize me to draft a resolution.
To draft a
Because in the next meeting, we'll have a resolution and a abatement agreement that encompasses all this and we get it approved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It was easy, wasn't it?
It was. We truly appreciate it.
Well, we
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
you guys, so thank you. All right, Mr. Clark. We're thinning out the audience, it's not a good thing. Maybe it is a good thing, I don't know.
It's shorter that way.
All right, State Road 250 line relocation bid award.
We had the bid opening about 2 weeks ago. This is for basically relocating all our facilities from Eisenhower all the way through the railroad tracks going underground. This is, for the most part, a labor only, with the exception of their providing the SDR, poly or conduit, depending on whether they trench or bore sections, just kind of being tight. But I think in your packet, you had the recommendation from Alpha, along with the summary. The Electricom came in substantially cheaper than the other numbers. Alpha has worked with them in the past and said that they feel comfortable with them doing the project. They have not been in town done work for us before, but they've done for a lot of different REMCs, and they're a decent sized company, so I don't foresee any issue with it, but with council's approval, I'd like to award them the contract.
Dustin, is there any other additional approvals besides
You'll
just
need-
the award the contract?
You'll need to draft it, and I'll forward you over all fill in the blanks like we have the other ones.
So we just approved it to.
Subject to me drafting.
No.
Fine.
How much is going underground, Stephen, do you know?
Our facilities, everything.
Okay, so I thought,
When I say everything, all the poles that are immediately adjacent to 252 from basically the bait shop are just south of the bait shop there, all the way through just the other side of railroad tracks. Now, some of the poles that sit back off the property line or back off the easement by 50, 60 feet, we'll use those as riding poles. We're not gonna replace everybody's service to the houses and we didn't get race at every house. It's just gonna open it up and get rid of our poles.
I have one question.
Yep.
Is there something the other companies are offering that Hoagland Energy is to be so much higher?
Yeah, that was quite the jump.
Are we
don't
missing
know.
out on something or?
Well, and if you paid attention, like when we did the Comcast work, I forget what the dollar amount there was, ballpark 400,000 or something like that. There was somebody that was almost $2 million. Whether they were just throwing a number at it, or stuff
Trying to
cardboard or
win.
not, I don't know.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I couldn't tell you.
okay, that's fine.
Union, non-union too.
Well, and that, Electrocom is a non-union company, the other was all union,
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
which would explain why there was that difference.
Josh and some of the others, yeah.
You have any questions? Deb, you have? Nope. Ryan?
Nope, I'm good with it.
Motion to approve for Dustin Hudson to draft the contract for the State Road 252 line relocation bid award to the Electricom for $759,521.15.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. And related to that, I don't think Mary put it on here, we've got some miscellaneous materials left to purchase for this project. We have all big ticket items that have long lead times, all transformer, switchgear, wire. It's $59,186.72 from Brownstown. It's the same supplier, we just went through with Comcast, where you can buy whole boxes, you buy partial boxes. Cheapest route again. With your approval, I'd like to go ahead and purchase the miscellaneous material for that project too. I have the quote if you'd like it.
No, we need to make a motion.
I sign on that, or we have a
Is
question?
that on his paying threshold underneath? How much, I didn't hear how much.
59.
Just under 60,000.
I think they
You did.
council has to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
What size are we gonna be pulling through there?
I believe it's gonna be 6. Under the board, which they're starting, is 8 because of the distance and everything else, but they feel confident they can get the cable through 6.
Smaller than I thought it'd be a lot bigger than that.
All right, Bob?
Request to dispose of the 2005 Baxter truck, and I think it's just a peach, so let's see what we got going on.
Yeah. We got it back from the shop.
But it's back again.
It's back again. We can't seem to get away from the troubles with this thing. It sat over the weekend and then it developed a transmission leak. So we sent it back down there, and if they can figure out if it's something they didn't do, or, you know, we're not gonna spend any more money on it. I think it's time to put it out the pasture and move on, get it off all of our shoulders. So we want to list it on the dues.
We're gonna get the best out of it there. I mean, it's gonna bring, I'd roughly say we're 15 to 20,000 easy.
Yeah.
Because the truck cleans up well, they just don't hold up as long as maybe some other vehicles because of their environment they're constantly in. So, I think we can get rid of this thing. I think we let it go. I mean, we've already approved the new one. We have the 19 currently getting worked on.
Yep.
Do we have a rental that we can get from Best or any of the others to tell them? Because right now,
I
we
had it
have.
for a week and I took it back. We only used it 3 times, but they're keeping it in Andy just in case we need it, so we can have it within a couple hours.
Okay, if you.
And we have a backup system in place. We have a company we can call. They come in, do a jetting or something, if it's an emergency.
In the meantime, you can use my equipment if we have it until then.
Yeah, they're saying that once we get approval on this pump and this new one, they can have it hopefully within by the end of the week, so we should be good.
Okay.
And
Do
then
we need to use that same site that we've been using for everything else for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, gov deals.
The gov deals, yeah, gov deals.
And that is no cost to us whatsoever. In fact, the buyer pays the percentage of selling, it's 12%, 6%, whatever, 7%, it's 100% on the buyer. We have nothing in on it other than just our time and their time responding to questions. So we've done really well with it. Dawn, do you agree with that?
I sold off vehicles for 4 times what we would have got here. 4
It
times.
just reaches a bigger audience.
It does,
It's
it does.
huge.
And it was amazing how fast it went up.
Make a motion to allow, for the request of the 2005 vacuum truck to GovDeals.com.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bob. All right, other business? Mike, anything? Okay. Ms. Reed?
I hope to.
Dustin? Roger? All right. Chief, Little?
Working on the reckless motorcycle complaint that nobody could tell me where to go to, but we're out there, we're trying to, we got a complaint on Facebook, just said that we have a lot of reckless motorcycles, but wouldn't give us a specific area, so.
Well,
Where's
one
that?
specific area is East Main Cross.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So we'll start there and work our way around and do a little bit more enforcement on the motorcycles. With good weather, they're out there.
Yeah.
They're out there. We're still making a lot of traffic stops and trying to get as many warnings, because you get the same thing if you really give them a ticket or a warning as long as they stop. But we're addressing it, I just want to give you a heads up, I'm already aware of it. Other than that, I don't know anything else.
I think Chief Lawler and Chief Little had a pretty bad call along 31.
It was a very horrible call that we've already been policing each other's agencies to make sure that if anybody needs to talk, it was a very brutal crash that I've been doing it for a long time and haven't seen something like that. And unfortunately, we lost a good Samaritan who just tried to get out and help one of our local folks that was broke down. So keep that family in your prayers.
And you both have been extremely busy, very busy, like,
That's pretty crazy.
yeah, exponentially busy. Haven't seen him come across the phone, so. Chief Lawler?
In your packet tonight, I did send a request, looking to spend $41,201 and 47 cents out of our public safety fund. We had 75,000 budgeted this year for that, haven't spent any. Trying to get the equipment, all loose equipment, the hose, the radio, everything, for the new fire engine, so we'll get that in service as soon as possible. I think we're probably on track to take delivery of that mid to late August, so just trying to get all the equipment ordered at one time, so that'll be coming in, be ready to put in service when we get it, so. I think I sent an itemized list. It's just always better for us to bid that stuff out ourselves and get quotes. If I had the vendor do it, probably would have been double, because I know Ryan would be familiar, the David Clark headset system alone, they wanted 8,200 to do it. We got it done locally for Columbus for about 3,700, so that's just one thing. So bidding it out on our own, selecting different vendors, just so much cheaper. Like I say, just half that, I would imagine, so.
Very explicit, Justin, good.
Thanks.
Excellent request. Anybody have any questions?
I will.
Make a motion to approve Chief Lawler's request for the $41,201.47 for his fire department request.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, thank you.
Julie, anything else?
No, sir.
Stephen? Come on, Stephen.
I got a long list, a couple of things. I had a email this morning from one of our commercial customers, industrial customers down the south end of town, related to, Sherry's not happy with that. Related to the new rates. They took place, and the first bill went out, I'd like to say the 5th of this month. So they've all received their bill with the new rates on them. This particular customer was very polite, full well understood why the rates had to be increased the way they were. But as a business, are trying to do anything they can to lower their demand. The demand portion is what dramatically increased, as would be with all these three-phase customers. As you can see on that second, that little sample bill, the kilowatt hour was hardly any increase. It was pretty much off demand. But what they were asking for is, and I know we mentioned it and discussed it at the time when we went through this, is they were asking if there's any forgiveness or type of plan that the council would offer to spread this out, because they're trying to make sure it's viable for them. As a whole, they said that their profit margins are real tight. So I told them that I would present it forward to council and let you understand the information. They have somebody coming out to look at their power factor. If you remember, I was talking about the beer and the foam. They've gone through that process in the past, and they've got something in there that corrects it. But they're gonna have something come up, make sure that that is operating as efficient as it can. By looking at the information, I don't think they're gonna get much out of that. The other option they have to do would be to look at how they produce things, because that peak and that 30 minutes through the month is what sets that bill. So if they can adjust their manufacturing to some extent and lower that, their bill will get lower. But beyond that, it's really, their options are limited. So I'm just forwarding information on to you
Is she the only person you've heard from
with this request.
for
Yes,
this?
yes.
But correct me if I'm wrong, on our previous rates, we were losing money at,
The previous rate was $8.50 a KVA for this rate class, and we have been paying 23 and change. So the new rate is at 21.67, I think, per KVA. So still slightly less than what we pay for, but averages will cover itself out. So, and as you can see, that's where the bulk of the increase went. I looked at their bill for the past 2 years, and the KVA, their demand, I mean, last month was up probably about 50 or 60 total. But I mean, it's not like there was a huge spike last month either in their production or their usage. So it's close to historically where I would expect them to be.
so they're requesting an extension on payment, or?
I believe that's what they're asking for. I mean, I explained to them that we can't really adjust the rates. We can't, I mean, unless council chooses to do something of that nature. But I think that's what they're asking for.
Just a one-time extension or?
She was gonna be here, but unfortunately she wasn't able to be.
Should we really have something in writing specifying exactly
What she's asking?
she's asking on behalf of that?
Absolutely. I just got this, and I told her there was a council meeting tonight. I would bring it up for discussion to see if council was open to something.
Is this her company personally, or is she a CEO or something?
I believe it's her brother. is
I'm
what she said.
sorry?
I believe it's her brother, I believe, is what
Okay.
she said.
I personally don't want to say yea or nay on something that I don't know specifically what exactly
Understood.
verbatim she's asking.
I think it would be best, based off of legal counsel's advice, would be to have her have something written that it's in writing, that she's requesting or herself verbally come to the council and request what it is. So we
An
appreciate
extension
you
is one thing, but
trying to be, a
Working
good
with
steward of the
them.
community and working with them, but I think it needs to come from her in writing, one or the other. So
Understood. I'm just presenting the information because she asked.
Yeah.
And I understand for all the business said, when I talk, I understand it's going to be a huge shift. I understand, but
Yes.
we were in the same boat. We can't financially sustain a utility doing what we were doing.
right.
So,
Well, thank you for bringing it forward, and then,
and I'll respond to her, and then I can forward it to whatever information Ryan and Mr. Halston, and then we can circle back to it next council meeting, but I just figured out.
That'd be good.
And then, I've got a couple other things here for you. Probably the next council meeting or the following, we're gonna have to, I know we've talked about this ban, the short-term loan. That's in process. I think they are submitting that, Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, that's Wednesday, I think he's turning in that application for a September, financing. So, to be prepared for that conversation. I think our total was around 19 million is what we were thinking we need as a total bond. We're gonna target somewhere around the 10 to 12 range as a short-term that should bridge us enough to get us all the way through our substation, and that'll give us a firm number, so we're not overshooting and get a lot extra for a bond. But again, the rates had to be in place in order to actually get this dam too, so I mean, it all kind of goes together. So just keep that in mind. I talked with Mr. Kurzfield about the employment situation. Technically I have 3 open positions. One is the assistant that I'm just leaving that way. I'm hoping to farm within, or if I have a true need, then I'll look at that time. But we posted for an apprentice and a journeyman at the same time, just to see what we can draw. I can tell you on the journeyman side, I've had 8 applicants. 3 of them were semi-viable, the rest were fork truck drivers, semi-drivers, no qualifications. On the apprentice side, I'd like to say we've got excess of 140. So, one of our apprentices is no longer with us. So we're going to backfill that position for sure, but with Johnny leaving, I'm going to have a void that I need to fill. And I'd like to look towards another apprentice or even a groundsman that we can hire in to do other tasks and evaluate that person before we put them in the apprenticeship, depending on what I can sort out with the apprentice applications I've got. I've got about 8 candidates that have some type of experience. I'm going to do phone interviews and go through the process with and see how that shakes out. But geographically, having to be within 20 miles is a real restriction for what we can offer. So we may have to go the option of the groundsman. I just want to kind of put that out to council to know that situation. So with Johnny leaving, it's unfortunate, but we've got a void we need to fill.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, sir.
other than that, I'm done. Oh, one other thing, and this will be for Mr. Harrelson more than anything. With the substation, we're turning stuff loose as far as sending it out to bid. When we bid this out, their Alpha contacts different vendors for different types of equipment, gear, switches, all the different components we shop and buy independent, and then we'll hire a contractor to assemble. So with that process, I believe that anything over 150,000 at the public bid, as long as we stay under that threshold, we get multiple bids, we're fine. Is that correct?
Specific amount. I can give you.
If you could, because there's a few things that have about a year lead time that they want to get in process and get bid out right now that needs to be bid out, so we can get it in motion. And they said they were anticipating somewhere around the $80,000 to $90,000 range, but I know there's going to be, this conversation is going to keep coming up multiple times. I want to make sure that we follow the channels we need to streamline it.
I'll give it to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, do you have anything?
I just got one thing. I've had a few members of the public asking about washing the north tower, since it's the one that turns the dirtiest the quickest. I was planning on putting that on the docket for next year, but I've already got one bid. The other 2 companies that bid have not returned my emails yet. So I didn't know if you wanted me to pursue it for the rest of the year or just hold off till next spring.
When was that done last?
We had it painted in 21 or 22, so it got cleaned and painted inside and out in 22, and it's just, the south tower doesn't get near as dirty, it's just because of vegetation so much closer on School Hill there. So it's, the bid I've gotten so far is always the cheapest bid, and it's $8,900. So I'd like if we could, it's on my docket to try and get it done in the spring, but they've asked me to bring it up just to make sure, to see where you guys are at. So I'll put it in your hands.
Again, it was just 2 years. What do we typically go on that, Bill?
Those were built in 08 and have been washed 3 times. So the last time I got them washed, they've been the longest, and they were really, really nasty, both of them. So that's why we went ahead and, got them cleaned and painted.
I'd say maintenance, not good.
Yeah.
I'd say we can wait at least another year or 2.
It's painted
Yeah.
in and out in 22. I don't know.
And then the buzzards doesn't help. The big owls up there for the buzzards, but they figured out to knock the heads off of us and move on. They're
So
still
they
there.
didn't have for cleaning and painting, or just?
No, it's just.
No,
That's
just
just
cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, painting will be a $7,000 or $8,000 job.
Yeah, it'll take-
We're good for 10 to 15 years on painting, should be. So,
So I would say hold off. Yeah. Okay, I
Thank
think we'll hold off, Bill. Thank you, appreciate that. Bob, anything?
Nothing else.
Sarah Beth?
The only thing, I did receive the second appraisal, for the JMH property today, so I forwarded that to, Mr. Piercefield, and I want to communicate to JMH where we are in that process. Will we have something, either a resolution by August 12th meeting, so I can let them know where we are
I
with
sent
things?
that to Dustin and.
I still haven't.
That was the last one.
Was last
Oh, that was the last one, okay.
So I got that today.
Okay.
I will have a resolution ready that shows what the max offer you can do
Mhm.
and decide if you want to approve.
Okay.
When are they gonna move the buildings off of there?
So that was my next question. So we have someone here locally to take the building. But I wanted to know what we need from him, and I've communicated that to him as far as like, if we are the legal property owners and he were to take the building, what do we need insurance wise and coverage wise from him? And so I don't know if that's just something that even that I can talk to Mary about, but just to make sure that we have all of our bases covered.
Seems that it would be easier if JMH still owned the property when he took them instead of us. I would think that.
Okay, I can talk to Mr. Kester and Dr. Dunkel about that then and see if they would be fine if he started to, I mean, we would love for the building to get moved as soon as possible because we're planning all of our Christmas things around that property. So the sooner the better. And obviously even for September to open it up for the fall festival to be able to utilize that space, so.
Because they'll have to retire the gas, the water, everything have to be retired.
Yeah, and I don't
That's a
think
little
there's
bit of a
any
process.
utilities that are currently on or hooked up now, correct?
That's why I want JMH to run, us to be responsible for that.
The electric is off, I don't know if it's just.
That's how long it
Okay.
took to finalize
Okay.
that, once we decide.
simple task.
At least a month or more, that's what I'm being told at this, once
Okay,
we get this, but I did.
Once, if they approve the resolution, we have to do a purchase agreement.
Right.
Go through that process.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can call, Mr. Kester tomorrow then and just ask if they would be okay. I mean, they said they're, even our appraisals don't include the building because it's of no value to them either. So
Right.
if they could work with Mr. Cheek to have that removed, and that's something else that we don't have to worry about. Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like we got everybody covered here. Open up the public comment, please state your name and your address for the record if there are any.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for attending.